All right, everyone. Today we are going to continue to see the prehistoric and ancient Mediterranean world. Do you remember what we learned in the ancient Mediterranean world? Nobody remember it? Anything you can remember from the last class? What we learned in the previous class? No ideas? Okay, I get it. All right, so on Tuesday we learned Mesopotamia.
Oh wait, I think I remember when we learned about that. It was right next to the what was it called? It was in Egypt.
Yes, Egypt. It's right here, Egypt.
Mhm.
We learned these two art cultures last class, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. And today we are going to see Greece and Rome. So let's see this timeline again. So we learned Mesopotamia on Tuesday, and we saw city-states by Sumerian, and First Empire by Akkadian, and Second Empire by Babylonian, and Third Empire by Assyrians, and the last empire was by Neo-Babylonian or New Babylonian. And we learned Egypt. So we're gonna learn Greece and Rome today, and let's see Greece. So Greece is here. So the Greece comes from Aegean culture. The artistic cultures of the Aegean parallel in time those of Egypt and Mesopotamia, about 3000 BCE. And the last period of Greece is called Hellenism. And Rome is here. So Rome began before the century and continued to the 4th century. So now let's briefly see Aegean culture first before the Greece. So Greek culture arose on the lands bordering sea, the Aegean Sea here. And there are three Aegean major cultures, the Cycladic, the Minoan, and the Mycenaean. So the Cycladic is centered on a group of small islands in the Aegean. It's here. And Cycladic art is a puzzle because we know almost nothing about the people who made it. So it consists almost exclusively of nude female figures. And the next one is Minoan. So the Minoan culture is based on the island of Crete. It's here at the southern end of the Aegean and centered on the great city of Naxos. Minoan culture can be traced to about 3000 BCE. So we take the name from a legendary king called Minos, who supposedly ruled at Naxos. The palace at Naxos features post and lintel construction with painted columns topped by pillow-like capitals. And Mycenaean. So Mycenaean culture, so called because it formed around the city of Mycenae, it's here, and flourished on the south coast of the Greek mainland. And Mycenaean built palaces and temples, but they are also noted for their elaborate burial customs and tombs like Egyptians. So burial places in and around Mycenae have yielded large quantities of exquisite gold objects such as rhyton. This is it, in the shape of a lion's head. So now let's see Greece and Rome. So the word classical refers to two cultures, Greece and Rome. It aesthetically indicates artwork of the highest quality and standard. And Greek philosophers were the first to speculate on the nature and purpose of art. It's like sculpture, painting, and architecture were discussed as technique, in our words, technology and technique. So technique is things requiring a special body of knowledge and skill to make. So there are three artistic periods in Greek art. First is archaic period, and the next period is classical period, and the last one is Hellenistic period. So let's see archaic period first. So this is called crater, and crater is one of many standard Greek pottery shapes. A crater was a vessel used for wine. And this is Kairos. And Greek statue depicts an anonymous boy. 1,000 of such figures were curved, all of them in the same pose and all nude, young, and idealized, with broad shoulders, slim waist, and bodies. And Greek female statue is called whore. And the painting technique on the pottery is called a red figure style. The ground is painted black like this, and while figures are left mostly unpainted and with only thin black lines to describe the forms. The red that results the natural color of fired earth, and earlier archaic pottery has employed the reverse color scheme with black figures painted on a red ground. So now we see the classical period of Greece. The classical period dates from 480 to 323 BCE. It is considered to be the height of Greek art. The Greeks invented contrapposto pose, this is it, to express the potential for motion inherent in a standing human. And bronze was the favored material for freestanding sculpture in ancient Greece. So let's compare these two styles of Greek sculptures. So archaic sculpture versus classical sculpture. So we can clearly see the differences between these two sculptures, right? So what are the differences? Can you find it? You can just tell me, anything you find.
You said the differences?
Mm-hmm. Yes, differences.
The black one has a base.
Mm-hmm.
It's a woman and a man, right?
Yeah.
These
no,
are all
penis.
men.
The black one has base.
Mm-hmm.
And
One man.
I think it has abs too.
Yeah, say it.
That looks more like
The
clay.
darker one is more defined.
Uh-huh. What you say?
The darker one is more defined.
Uh-huh. Yes, that's right. So the left one is archaic corrosive sculpture, the beginning of the Greek culture. And it was amazing achievement to create a freestanding human sculpture. But despite of the great process, it still look unnatural and less detailed. And the movement is very, very limited. So we can just find the movement only on the left foot. And
the classical shows more emotion.
that's right. That's right. But the classical contrapposto sculpture, shows incredibly natural movement, and it has lots of details and very, very realistic. And we can tell this is the height of Greek art. And although all ancient Greek and Rome art is broadly known as classical, the art produced during classical period was considered by later European scholars to be the finest of the finest. So Athens was the cultural and artistic center at this time. This is Athens. So Athens, which was chief of the city-states and had been built around the high hill Acropolis. So this is Parthenon at Acropolis. And Greeks dedicated to the goddess Athena Parthenos, or Athena the warrior maiden. The Parthenon is a Doric-style temple with columns all around the external and an inner row of columns on each of the short walls. So let's see what the Doric style. So this is Doric style that the Parthenon has. Doric style column is simple and classical compared to the other two column styles such as Ionic and Corinthian. So what's the difference of the Doric style except for that decoration part? Can you see the feature of the Doric style compared to the others? Let's just focus on this column. What's the difference?
It's more minimal, like minimalistic looking, like it's simple,
Yes.
not as
very
intricate as
simple.
the other two.
Yes, very simple. And how about the witness? Does it look straight? Yeah, more detailed. Does it look straight or not?
No, it looks
No.
like it's tapered at the top and then it comes down outwardly.
Perfect.
Like it kind of widens at the base.
Yes, yes, exactly, yes. So the Doric style columns are not straight. However, the tall columns may appear to bend inward at the center. So they look absolutely straight from the viewer's eyes, because we look at columns like, upward like that. And this is called antithesis. The architects of the classic Greek art calculated the relative errors by the viewers and applied it to the temple. And this is amazing because they did it 2,500 years ago. And the last period of Greek art is called Hellenistic. And it begins about 323 BCE. And this style emphasizes balance and restraint while also favoring dynamic poses and extreme emotion. So let's see, how does it look like? So this is it. So sculptures of this era poses with theoretical quality and complex poses. So there is a video about Hellenistic art in modern Rome. Please watch it to see more beautiful Hellenistic art. So now we can recognize the different styles by Greek art period. The archaic period shows the limitation to show the movement, and the classic period shows the completed technique to create natural and classic standing sculpture. And the Hellenistic period shows emotions and dynamic movement beyond the classic. That's the differences. Now let's see Rome. The Roman era begins about 510 BCE, and it overlaps the Greek era. The Romans admired Greek art and copied many of their works. So the most of Hellenistic sculptures we see are now, they're not original. The most of the original Greek sculptures were destroyed by the church during the Middle Age. So the most of the Greek sculptures we are able to see are made by Romans. This one, the Hellenistic, the period sculpture, this one, it was, copied work by Roman. This is not the original work. So Roman art tends to realism. So as you can see on the left wall painting here, all the figures look very natural and realistic. And the Romans were best known for their architecture and engineering. And their most famous monument is Colosseum. This is Colosseum. So the Colosseum covers over 6 acres, and it has 80 arched entryways and exits. That's a lot. And it's accommodated over 50,000 people. So this is the inside of the Colosseum. It's huge. So it's truly symbol of Rome. All right, so that's it for the prehistory and ancient Mediterranean world chapter. I hope you enjoy to see all the ancient art through this chapter. So now, let's see today's discussion. So before you proceed the discussion, please click this page, week 9.2, the prehistory and ancient Mediterranean 2, and watch this video, the Hellenistic art. And then please answer this question. So this is today's discussion topic. So discuss the architecture of the ancient Greeks and Romans. So what advancement did each culture make in buildings, and why are these works still considered such marvels today? So you can just compare, you know, the architecture we just saw, like a Parthenon from Greece and Colosseum from Rome, or you can research other architecture from the Rome and Greece to answer this topic. Any questions?